Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to another edition of the NSCAC Presents Behind the Bench. My name is Valerio Rocca. I'll be the host today. I'm the Vice President of the NSCAC. And today with us, we have a special guest, William Eskay, who is the current captain of the St. Louis Ambush of the MASL and is a member of the U.S. Men's Futsal National Team. William, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
So our topic today is career paths for soccer players outside of the mainstream 11v11 game. I think it's an interesting topic because I think when people talk about the beautiful game in soccer, they talk about the 11v11 format. I think there's a lot more other avenues out there. And I think the game is constantly evolving, and there's a lot of fun, exciting, small-sided games out there that both female and male players can be a part of. So William, why don't you take us a little bit about your past and a little bit about your journey?
Sure. So I grew up in Maryland. Frederick, Maryland is a small county in Western Maryland, near Washington, D.C. And my dad owns a soccer club out there. It's a nonprofit, so he's the executive director or whatever that title is. And I grew up and played in my hometown kind of my whole youth career. At high school age, I played high school soccer and then did club half the year, and I did a lot of ODP growing up. I'm not sure about the landscape of Canada. Do you guys do ODP here there as well?
We have that somewhat, yes.
Um, so when I was growing up before the academy program was being brought up in the US, that was where most players collected to do kind of select teams, and you had your state team, and then there's a regional team, which is like there's four regions over the US, kind of northeast, southeast, west, and midwest. And then that was really the pathway to the national team when I was a youth player. So you would play ODP, make your state team, and kind of move up the ranks, play tournaments and stuff like that. And so I did that, played on the Region 1 team, which is all the Northeast players, and kind of through high school. When I was 16 or 17, I went on some trials and was in the pool with the men's national team. I was kind of caught that right at the tail end. They kind of do 15 to 17-year-olds, and I got in right kind of when I was 17. From there, so I had a super successful high school career when I was playing. I'm all-time leading point scorer, goal scorer, assists at my high school, and then I think I maybe lost 2 games or something, but we went 20-0 and won the state championship my senior year. And I had a really great experience playing high school ball. I know now that's at least in the US, it's a big decision families make if they want to play in the academy system or play high school soccer. I had a great experience there. And so after high school, I played at the College of William and Mary. I have a big family history there. It's a Division I school in Williamsburg, Virginia. They would float kind of being a top 25 team to like a top 70 team. So when you're there, how it usually goes, we made the tournament 1 year out of our 4 years, won our conference, and then went to the NCAA tournament. That's pretty common at William and Mary. Really good academic institution and a historic soccer program, but not comparable. It's not like an ACC school or something like that. They're not in the tournament every year. But so I had a good career there. Started all 76 games of my career since freshman year. Was very fortunate to have any injuries. So every game of every year I was starting and playing. And then when I graduated, this is what pushed me into the smaller sided space, which is kind of why we're here. Most of the if you don't get drafted into the MLS right out of college, and that ends in the fall, if you do your spring semester, it's not the time that teams are looking to pick up players. So you get a lot of lost players, and it was the time that they were picking up indoor players, and I got connected with a guy named Pat Healy for the Harrisburg Heat. And that's actually where Christian Pulisic's dad played for the Harrisburg Heat. They rep that line. You'll see there's some pictures of him wearing Harrisburg Heat hats, which is kind of funny. And so I got involved in the indoor space there, which is kind of what led me to where I am now. Uh, I liked it, stuck with it. I didn't necessarily think I was going to play indoor all the time. I think I imagined I would be back outside playing 11 aside. It didn't really pan out that way for kind of a variety of reasons. One just being that the seasons have some overlap, and the timing wasn't super great when you're playing indoor to hop back at an outdoor season. Uh, but anyways, went through that, went well. Kind of each year was incrementally better, and so by my third year in the league or so, I was making bigger moves around the league, and I came out to St. Louis. 3 years here, I've been like MVP, most goals on the team, and sort of getting some more league recognition. And this last year was my best season ever, and that was what kind of had me identified for the men's futsal national team, which I would describe as sort of the peak of my playing career so far, for sure. Highest level, most competition and responsibility, and definitely for me, most meaningful playing I've ever done was playing within that futsal national team group. So that's where I'm at now. Is that a pretty good breakdown for you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. What would you say some of the different skill sets needed to play in your league versus the 11v11 game?
Yeah, there's a lot of different answers I could say here. Generally speaking, if you're a very good 11v11 player, you can play at a small sided game, although it's not going to come naturally to you. You'll have to change some habits you have when you're playing small sided to be good at it. So there's kind of like a 2 year, from what I see, it takes most players about 2 years to build the natural instincts that sort of help you in a smaller sided. And that's more things like man-to-man defense. Sometimes you play man-to-man defense, which is very foreign for an outdoor player. Unless you're marking in a corner on a corner kick or something, you're almost never man-to-man. Part of the reason for that is you're always so close to the goal that it's almost like you're in a corner kick situation or an inside the box situation when you do start to get tight to your man. And any kind of extra space you're giving a guy, they're just going to shoot and score on you immediately. So the defensive piece is really important for players. I would say it's a much more mental game overall. Guys that struggle in the indoor game are super fast wingers that their play style is you hit it over the back line. I'm just going to run and get to it, and we'll make something happen from there. That kind of skill set isn't as useful. It's much more thoughtful in your passing and your actions. So guys that have a lot of success are like guys that play the number 10. Outside backs actually seem to transition well. And then the other spot that's sort of very effective where the skill sets transition is just like a true number 9. In futsal, it's a pivot, and indoor we call it a target player. But just being able to be an outlet for your team and the ability to hold the ball for a long period of time while guys are making creative runs around you is a very good way to generate shots and goal scoring chances around the box. And certainly, and everyone probably knows this, it's more technically focused. So the better your feet are, the softer they are. It's a tighter space. That's helpful. I would say it's not as important as how quickly you can think when you're playing. Thinking quickly is more important than having the soft feet, but it's definitely a requirement.
Would you say the thinking aspect, your soccer IQ, how quickly you can process information, how quickly you can solve problems, would probably be one of the highest skill sets you would need to be successful in the small-sided games?
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And the nice thing about that is, of all the things, it's something you can acquire when you're 20. The other stuff, you either have it or you don't by the time you're 20. That sort of thing you can still develop, which is why it presents itself as a decent opportunity for players who haven't caught their break on the 11 side game, because there's still room to grow in that aspect of their game.
I don't know how familiar you are with the Canadian system, but right now in youth sports, there's a lot of emphasis on small-sided at the younger ages. So we have a game model from U8 to U12, or as the ages start to go as you start to get older, they start adding more and more players on the field, and they start to increase the amount of space that a player has on the field to eventually get to the 11v11 game. What are your thoughts on small-sided games in terms of player development at a younger age?
Yeah, I would say absolutely critical. I would say that before I started playing the small sided as an older player, I played a lot of futsal growing up, but absolutely critical. And there's a couple of things that factor in it. The basic baseline that everyone will go to is you get more touches, which is true, right? If you're playing 11 aside, everyone knows the stat. There's some like you have the ball for 2 minutes total a game or 2.5 minutes. And over time for a young player, if you're training, let's say at the highest level, you're training like 4 times a week with a game at the weekend when you're super young, getting 50% more touches every single day for 3 years adds up and has a huge impact, just on your general technical ability. You're more involved and you're doing more things. I think the larger piece that maybe, at least in US soccer, that gets missed is there's a huge benefit to understanding the space with 4 players, meaning most situations you get in, 4 or 5 players, let's say, if you're playing futsal indoor, but most situations you get in a game, there's 11 people on your team, but you're not interacting with 11 players. A center back's generally working with their center mid, their outside back, their goalkeeper, and their other center back. It's a diamond shape. They're the 5th guy. And so what happens at a young age when you add too many players on the field is you're asking a player to understand the spacing of an 11 aside game with 11 players, but they haven't yet even got the building block of understanding just their role within the 3 or 4 guys that are around them on the field.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.